All right, guys. So we've had a little bit of an eventful week here, and it seems that all of this week's events center around one man, Charlie Fang. Those of you who know who he is, I'm sure you're already excited. You've got your popcorn out. You're ready to go. For those who don't, though, you should understand that this guy is one of the few people on the planet who I will grant the title of being both more dramatic and more of an online freak to than myself. I don't give that title up easily. It's something that I truly don't like relinquishing. I like to hold on to it. But it is just a fact. This is how it goes. And, now that he's been identified and we know exactly who he is, he's been completely doxxed. There's a little story that I would like to tell, right? There's a subject I would like to talk about. And that subject is, drum roll, please, the wedding of Charlotte Fang. And yeah, I did get his permission for this.
Sorry, I didn't know if you were going to introduce me or if I should.
Oh, that's so fucking true. I forgot we're on with Milk. And I totally.
Hey. Okay, let's start that over if we can.
Do the whole thing over? Okay.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, we're gonna do it.
Okay.
Okay. So, 3, 2, pause, 2.1. Wait, 1.9. I went the wrong way. Anyway, I'm here with none other than Remilia's Milk, right?
Hello.
This is Milk. I've seen some speculation based on the Remilia org chart, actually, that Milk is fake. it's a fake made-up person, which is funny because Milk is actually Milk's been in the Remilia shit for longer than I have, right? You remember me getting added to the group chat. I
do, yes. Yeah, I've been in the Remy group chat since 2021.
Do you remember me floundering around upon being added, being confused? What was your first impression of me? Actually, no. Wait, give me your second or third. I asked for the first impression from Crimea, and she was like, "I fucking hated you, dude. I thought you were evil and bad." And I was like, "Oh no, give me your better impressions." What was your first acceptable impression?
That you were a good poster and that you belonged.
That's not true. That I was a fucking horrible poster when I got added there. I had 1,700 followers. My profile picture was a fucking it was an aesthetic couple walking on the beach, holding hands with a gorilla or an orangutan or something. I was literally just a right-wing bodybuilder, physique adjacent guy.
Wow. Well, see, I think that it's hard to give you a first impression because it's just been colored of 2 years of being.
I know. I completely set you up. I'm a huge bastard.
Yeah.
This is what we do on the podcast, though, right? We like to corner the guests here. But this is Milk, who is, again, on the Remilia org chart, is also a legitimate member of Remilia, right? Which is outranking me. So a lot of people don't know this, but I haven't ever been, in the Remilia Corporation, right? I have been in the Remilia Collective. And it's important that we distinguish here because Remilia Collective is actually just, are you in the group chat, right?
Right. I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, and Remilia Collective is a very different thing than the corporation because the corporation is the thing that actually has a physical corporate structure that pays people, right?
Right.
You're not paid by a collective. You're paid by the corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And so Milk is here kind of to talk about, a little bit of the goings on in the corporation because there's more interest there, and I can't really provide that, right? Because I've been fucked off for so long now. That's not to say I'm not friends with these people, but I'm not as active in the Remilia group chat since quitting my job and starting a business and doing the open exchange stuff. And the people that I'm friends with, I mostly talk to in one-on-one conversation, or every now and then I'll pop into the chat and catch up. I don't have a great pulse on what's actually going on in terms of the business dealings of stuff. Sometimes I'll talk to Charlie, sometimes I'll talk to Milk, sometimes I'll talk to Q about what projects are getting worked on or stuff like that. And I'll hear about we're doing this or we're doing that. And one of the this is the Remilia Quarterly.
Right.
Which is what Milk is working on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'd love to talk about that later on. And kind of introduce what that is, because now that the corporate family tree has been released to the public, we've kind of let it slip that this is a project that we've been working on for a really long time.
Yeah, which is it's a little sad because we like to have our surprises out here at Remilia,
Right.
but
Of course.
but the
But it needed to
situations,
happen. It needed to
right?
happen.
The
And
situations necessitate that things like this happen. And now that we've blown the lid off, we might as well tell people
yeah.
a little bit about it, what it is, and stuff like that, because there have been some questions, and it's always fun to talk about what you're doing, and also to hear about like what you're doing specifically. I have like an idea, I guess, of what the Remilia Quarterly might be based on, because a lot of the Remilia projects are basically things that Charlie has like like he's had it like a passion project for a long time. And I know what the general list of his passion projects and desires are in the world. So I can assume when I hear the Remilia Quarterly, I can assume which one of these it's going to be satisfying, right? But
right.
I'm not positive, and I would
Yeah,
love to have it
it's
confirmed.
just our literature vertical. It's, we're taking
the
on
documentation, the art history, the
yes,
printing the web.
Yeah, we're printing the internet.
Printing the internet. I guess that does sound a lot better than printing the web.
It's okay. I've had practice saying it.
Who came up with that?
I think that Dobis did.
Nice.
I think that Dobis came up with that. But I'm not sure at this point. We've tossed it around so much for months.
Like the whole thing with Remcon Tokyo, like everyone who was down there before the wedding too, right?
Right. And I'm so glad that we're able to kind of talk about that now and just really like show the personal sides of things.
Yeah, like there are obviously massive downsides to like everything that's going on now, but one of the upsides is that there's a lot of like really fun internal stories, I guess, that can now be told to everyone. I've been like vaguely alluding to some like wedding that I was going to like in posts or the podcast or whatever, but it was Charlie's wedding, right? Like that's obviously something that's like an interesting story. And
and in Tokyo or in Korea.
I get down there, I post up with all of the, the Remilia hype house, right? We got like some tatami house, all the straw mats. I was sleeping with Raven. There's like, I took a bunch of selfies of us. It looks like we're under the covers together. Really cute stuff. There was a lot of homosexual undertones throughout that whole trip, I will say. A lot of very Remilia actions going on. But then we have the Bonkler commencement speech at the art gallery, right? Where we go in and it's this big rented out space, and there's like a like all of the art that people had sitting up. Obviously, there's the Remilia booth where we're like giving out merch and stuff, and like I got to go pretend to be like whatever I wanted, right? Like I could just introduce myself as like I am like the VP of Remilia, like I am like whatever that isn't like a title that's actively been taken by someone else. This was when like Elon was tweeting, like everything was popping off. Like this whole period was just like extreme, like holy shit, like Remilia is taking over the world, $100 billion, like all of this stuff. And we do the Bonkler commencement speech here. And when I say we, I mean it was me. I was the one who gave it, just like sporadically. I became speech guy for this whole visit, right? I just morphed into, Lukas has a podcast. He's speech guy, right? So I go up and obviously, like I'm nervous and stuff because, like, it's in Japan. I'm at this art gallery with this big, like, it was like what are the trees? The cherry blossom trees. There's like a big blossoming cherry tree that's like shedding leaves all over everything. There's this ambient music. So I go up to give the speech, and the sound guy doesn't turn off the ambient music, right? So I'm like talking and giving the speech with all of these like bizarre, emphatic podcaster mannerisms, and I'm just getting totally mogged by like elevator music, right? Because the guy didn't turn it down. So I'm just like up here, and like everyone who spoke English already knew what Bonkler was because they've seen our like shit spamming the timeline with it all the time, right? So like it didn't even matter to them. The only people it mattered for were the Japanese people, and they can't understand me anyway because I'm speaking English. And I'm using like all of these like weird internet words in a speech about a Bonkler, right? So and I'm getting voice smogged anyway by the ambient music. So it was just like
that's a mess.
It was just this period. Yeah, it was this period where I just went up on a stage and just sort of waved my arms around, and everyone just looked at me confused, and then like I walked back and there was like minor clapping. It was clearly like not we would have gotten more clapping if anyone heard me or understood what was going on, I'm sure. But The chips don't always fall that way. And then after that, we finished the RemCon stuff, and we all decide to go to Kyoto, right? And I go with some of the Remilia guys down there, and we have the fun story from the spa that we were staying at the Airbnb, right? Where they're in Japan, and they're very racist down there. So we're all like naked together in the spa, in the sauna, and all these Japanese guys come in. They open the door and they look over and they see Jimbo. And Jimbo's black. And then they just leave, right? Like they just fucking like walk out. It's just this, and it happens so many fucking times because we were just camping out in the sauna, and this theme
Japanese people already don't like foreigners.
Right, yeah, and it might not have even been like Jimbo, like either. It could have been like the rest of us too. They maybe just like, wow, it's like a bunch of fucking like white guys and a black. Like, there's no Japanese people here. Fuck these guys, we're leaving. And the same thing happened. We were trying to go out and get dinner, right? We're walking around with like the Remilia troupe. We literally got rejected from like 30 restaurants, right? We're going around trying to just get anybody to let us in. And it wouldn't even be like the restaurant owners who were turning us away. It would be like guests at the restaurant would see us walking up to the front, and they would come up to the owner and they would just like do like the X sign with their hands. We would just get fucking turned away. We wound up eating at like a food stall, and then we found some noodle place that like took us in at the end of the night.
That's good.
And then after all of this wraps up, you get to go to the wedding, right? And all of us are like kind of psyched because this is like the big fun thing. It's almost like a celebratory victory lap, given like the Bonkler release, the success, the Elon tweet, the like Remilio price bump where it went from like fucking like it went from like 0.2 ETH to like 2 ETH over like a month or two. Just everything was going really, really well, and now we get to go down and Charlie had his wedding.
Right.
We get to go down to the wedding, and
this is so sweet.
Yeah, and the whole thing was like really fun and taken care of for us. Like we have, I flew myself down there. I can afford it. There were people who couldn't necessarily afford flying out to like Korea that he wanted to see and hang out with. So he like paid for their tickets and stuff. Like I get to the airport, I get picked up by a guy who he's holding a sign that says Lukas Computer, right? Like there's like a driver that's holding a sign that says Lukas Computer. I get into some like limo thing for like a 4-hour ride down to the wedding venue. Where I'm then in like a hotel that has like this big like lakeside view. Like I'm like overlooking all the mountains and stuff like this. Like it was just like really nice and like all taken care of. Just a super like, like nice, generous experience going on. And then we all get to meet up and we start talking about like what's going on. Everyone's flying in. We have one of the guys who and like Remilia is kind of notorious. Most of the members have some degree of time latency, right? Like they're not super, they're on Mediterranean time here. They're maybe not like super, I don't know, like timely in meetings and stuff like that. So one of the members, and again, we're in Korea. So like none of these things are, it's not in English. And we're in a place that has a similar name in English to like another place in Korea. And so one of the guys had like, he was like, oh God, like I slept through my plane ticket. I got to get another. And then he like slept through that one too. And he's like, I got to get another. So he got like another plane ticket. And he's like, guys, I'm going to make it. I'm just barely going to make it in time. And we're all like, you can do it, dude. You can do it. Like run. And then he messages us when he gets off the airplane. He's like, I'm here. And he like shows us like a picture and we're like, dude, like you're at the wrong place. Like, because he went to like a similar sounding Korean city, right?
So he's just across the country.
Yeah. And we're like, oh no. So he's like, oh fuck. And he's obviously been like awake for so long, and like everyone's been drinking and stuff. And now he's been like flying too for so long, and he has to go. And he like went through customs and all of this stuff. And now he's like, I've got to get like. So it becomes this big thing, and he gets another ticket as soon as he can out of the next place to fly down to the wedding. And so like we start the initial wedding ceremony. that they're doing like a traditional Korean wedding ceremony. It's this very big, like extravagant thing. They have all of these like traditional Korean decorations. Everyone like, there's like a very formal Korean wedding ceremony that they're going through that I don't specifically like have a great grasp on because I'm not Korean. I don't have Korean family members or anything.
Right. You don't know the traditions.
Right. But it's like, like his wife is from like a very, very fucking good family. Like when you say that, you're imagining a family that's probably like an order of magnitude, like less good than her family is. And I can't like exactly say,
right.
I can't,
Yeah.
you're right. I can't exactly say like in what capacity her family is very, but it's like, like everyone's docs. I'm sure at some point someone, but it's like, she's from a very fucking good family. And so this wedding is like a traditional, like Korean ceremony that's going on. And they're doing all of these steps, and there's this period where they have to like like after they've said their vows and stuff, they're fighting over the seed of a jujube. Jujube. I have no idea how to pronounce it. This is another one of those internet words that I've never had to say on stream or anything like that. And they're fighting over the seed of this, right? And the seed signifies like who's going to wear the pants in the marriage, basically. And Charlie's wife wasn't just like giving it up, right? Like she wasn't just like trad wifing it to him. She was fucking going for the seed.
She's gonna fight for it.
Yeah. So they're both going back and forth on this and like trying to rip it out of each other's mouth. And of course, all the photographers close ranks around this. There's like a swarm. There's like a massive swarm of these photographers with like broadcast level equipment, right? And I'm there with my cell phone, like trying to sneak through, get like a little glimpse in the gaps, but I don't think I got anything good. But it was really, really fucking funny because there's not a lot of times that I've seen Charlie like physically struggle legitimately for something. Like I want this. Like I'm gonna like. And he was going all out for sure, dude. And so this is around when our lost fawn comes in, and we get him all checked in and stuff. Let him store his stuff in the room.
Wait,
and,
but who won the fight?
Charlie won, of course, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Right, of course. This is something that was ordained by God for Charlie to get the seed of that jujube seed. It was just like you had to have the fight. You can't just.
Yeah, he had to win.
He absolutely had to win. And I think also she knew that it was going to wind up this way, but she also knew that God would be displeased with her if she didn't give it her best fucking effort, right? And so this is going on, and then everyone the ceremony ends, and then there's food, and then everyone's going around and like talking and stuff. And this was when we get to go around and like introduce people, say hey, and I'm not going to get like too into the details of like, I guess, who all is here, because it's like, Charlie's obviously doxxed, and like people can, it's stuff about his family is going to come up. He's again from like a very good family. So there's like a lot of like, there's like a fucking like $1 trillion net worth at this wedding. There's all these like business people going around and stuff like that. And they're like cutting deals too. Like that was the funniest thing, is like you're overhearing this stuff. And there's this it's like an ongoing like corporate marketplace. Like everyone is just like chatting people up, talking about like business partnerships. And I'm going around, and all of Charlie's other people that he's invited are going around and talking to these same people who are like, it's like you get asked by like an Amazon exec, like, how do you know Charlie? And it's like,
oh yeah.
Charlie's of course having a blast, right? Because he's sitting there watching me as I get put on the spot by these people, and he's giggling, right? Because he wants to see like, oh, what is Lukas going to come up with, right? Like I sort of tossed him out of the nest on his own to come up with his own responses here. Let's see how he's going to handle. Is he going to sink or swim? And I would like to think that I did fine. Obviously, like the idea of conveying like a net art collective as like corporate structure to somebody who's like very familiar with like traditional finance and like traditional business operations and just like big corporate entities.
Right.
There's always going to be things that I like gloss over, right? But I would like to think that I presented myself very normally. And, I would like to think so, right? I would like to think so. So there's all of these people going around cutting business deals, and there's all of this, all of these groups are forming, right? Because there's a lot of big factions that have been invited to this wedding, right? You have like, you have the bride side, you have the groom side, in terms of the families. And then you have both of our friends. So you have Charlie's wife's friends who are mostly Korean because she's Korean. And then you have Charlie's friends who are like ridiculous online neats, right? And obviously there's an attempt to try and get all of these people to talk to each other, right? But it's not something that happens organically because like normally, you know, it would be like the guys going over and doing all of the introductions and stuff like that. But like, you know, online neat collective. So I'm tasked.
Yeah, I've got a clash of cultures here.
Right. So I'm like tasked with trying to go around and tie these two groups of people together and get everyone like talking and stuff because, you know, like everyone wants to go off and sit with their friend. Oh, yeah. And so like after the first ceremony, right, this was the ceremony for like the traditional Korean ceremony. Right. And later there was going to be an Indian ceremony and the traditional Korean ceremony that went on. After that concluded and everyone was talking and stuff, we all sort of meandered off and started talking to everyone on our own. And we wind up going down with Charlie and his wife and, you know, going to get a drink at one of the local bars, of course. And not a local bar, I guess like a mart, a grocery store. I don't know. It was like a nice place that like sold stuff and also alcoholic beverages. And there was like a nice place to sit outside. And as we're walking down there, I'm like, guys, like I'm a little... like I'm feeling a little bit fucking tired, man, like weird or loopy or something. And, you know, consistently throughout this whole thing, I've been getting these like Amber Alert things on my phone, but they were in Korean. But I just assumed like, oh, like it's a, you know, it's the same Amber Alert siren noise, right? It's just got to be that thing, right? It never occurred to me to translate it. But then someone else was like, hey, like those guys over there are wearing like N95 masks. And then we were like, huh. And then we get to the store and like these guys are wearing N95. And then we realize gradually everyone is wearing N95 masks except us.
Okay.
And I was like, I like maybe it's just an Asian thing, right? Like, you know, they wear masks, you know, like Japan.
Right. Even before the virus and everything.
Maybe it's like a COVID thing or whatever, right? But so then eventually someone's like, dude, is this about like the yellow dust? And I was like, oh, you mean the pollen? And they were like, no, like the yellow dust. And I was like, but like consistently throughout this whole time, in the morning, there had been like this yellow dust raining down on us. And I was like, it's pine pollen, right? Like it's normal,
yeah, it's literally yayo pine pollen.
Yeah, it's yayo pine pollen. It's getting airdropped to us as like a wedding celebration thing, right? So,
but you're sleepy.
Right. And then that was when I started wondering, Then we start Googling around and we realize like this isn't yayo pine pollen. This is industrial precipitate from Chinese manufacturing processes that it's being precipitated out of the atmosphere and dripping down on us. And it's like some sort of like sulfur like dioxide shit. It's like deadly, right? So I'm like Googling.
Okay.
Yeah. and you have to go through. And like I'm like looking at the list of like how dangerous every day is, or like how much exposure you can have, and it's like today is like an absolute doomsday warning. Like if you inhale 3 breaths, like you are going to die. Like your children will have 6 heads. Like it's fucking over for you. And I was like,
damn Chinese factories.
yeah. And of course, all of us. So we see this and we're like, oh, Jesus. So like we also were like very tired too, because like the night before we'd all been like, we flew in, we were all talking to each other, having like a good time and stuff like that at like the reception dinner. And we stayed up late. We didn't get a lot of sleep. So now we're not only like sleep deprived, little hungover, but we're also like drugged on like Chinese manufacturing runoff, right? So all of our mental states are experiencing some disruption,
some warfare,
right? And we're all getting the drink, and as we're getting the drink, and we're talking with Charlie and his wife, and this is when I learn I'm going to be giving a speech at the wedding, right?
Oh boy.
So like after the poisoning incident, so like we're just adding, we're seeing how and Charlie's of course having a lot of fun with this, right? Like Charlie, he doesn't get to see like me actually being neurotic about stuff, but like he knows that I don't want to like embarrass him in front of all of these, like his family especially, but in front of all of like and his family's business partners, and his like his wife's family's business partners that are all like intermingling and like cutting these big corporate deals and shit.
Yeah, a bajillion dollars right in front of you. Right.
And he is seeing like, oh, Lukas is a little nervous. We should have fun with this. And so he loves the idea of tossing the wedding speech to this on top of it all. and saying like, I'm obviously asking like, please guide me, like tell me what I'm supposed to do under these circumstances, dude. Like I really don't. And he's like, no. I think you got this, man. I think you should figure it
out. No guidance.
Yeah. And so I go and I'm spending the next few hours trying to walk around with everyone, and I'm like sitting there like autistically like phone posting my draft for the speech, and I wind up writing up this big thing, and I'm like, I'm so nervous. I'm going around like showing it to everyone, like, guys, like, do you think that because obviously like it's not even like I'm trying to explain this to like you or like a podcast listener. I'm trying to explain this to like a normie Korean businessman, right?
Like
I'm speaking not only across like the gap of like weird internet freak to normal corporate person, but then additionally like a language barrier. So we're doing all of this. I'm going around. I'm spurring out about the speech, like showing everyone, like, oh my god, like, is this good? Am I like fucking up? And everyone's like, dude, like it's fine. Don't fucking worry about it. I'm obviously worrying about it. That's what I do, man. I'm out.
Right. This is a high pressure situation.
Yeah. Freaking out for sure. And then, so then the first person comes up to give a speech, and she says like a 2-sentence speech in like Korean, and then it gets translated through a translator, and then she walks off the stage. And I'm like, oh my God, I have so fucked up. I have so completely misread the room. Like,
and you're like 4 pages of
goes up and gives a speech, and it's like the same thing, except it's like 3 sentences, right? And I'm like, holy shit, I have to delete like 98% of these words. Like, so now I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to get called up, right? Like, I don't know what order in the speaking rank I am. So I'm like editing this stuff out, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get caught with my pants down. Like, and then I get called up by his dad to give the speech. And I'm like, hold up, just like 1 second, man. Like, and I like, make like the final edit and run up there and, give my thing. And, I think it went fine. I think it went great. We got some applause. We got some big clapping, I guess. It was pretty
nice.
good.
Nice.
Talked to his dad.
Things work out.
Yeah. And his dad comes up after, and he was like, oh, like, I can tell, like, he's like, I can tell that you had something there. You wanted to spill all the details on Charlie, and you guarded it from us. I bet he got to you, right? I bet he told you not to give us all the details. And I was like, no, like, I swear that was me. That was 100% me. He actually probably would have loved if I went up there and like, embarrassed him a little bit with like a full rendition of all of this. He just wanted to see what I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So after we get through the speech thing, my nerves calm down a little bit. I get to go back and perform my duties as like a liaison between the Remilia collective and Charlie's wife's Korean friends, and sit down, talk to them all. And, we had fun. They were trying to teach me to say like various words in Korean. And I don't know what it is, man. Maybe I just have like a Minnesotan accent or something. I was fumbling everything. I couldn't. And this was bad because it wasn't like I was fumbling like words. It would be like their names. Like they were trying to introduce me as their names, and I would say it. And it was like, it would just be syllables that I couldn't pronounce. And I felt like,
and they'd just laugh at you.
Yeah. They're like fucking with me over it. They're like, oh, this is so rude. Like you're such an asshole. I can't believe you won't pronounce my name properly. And I'm like, oh no.
You're bringing great shame.
Yeah, literally. I know. So they're all just like ribbing me out for this. And then we get to the food, right? And all of the food at like the reception was awesome. The food at the ceremony was awesome. The food.
What kind of food was it?
It was just everything, right? Like, so at the beginning thing, they had like a bunch of Korean dishes that were all traditional, and like, like you go to normal weddings and it's like it's catered and it's fine, but it's like a restaurant or something. And this was like, it was all really, really freaking good food. Like it was like, like hire a team of chefs, like Michelin star type people come in, prepare all of this stuff. This was another crazy thing. Like there was just like very high attention to detail. Normally you have like the little alcohol burners under the food. They had little discs to like raise and lower the alcohol burners to make sure that they were getting like the right amount of like heating per like food type that it was.
Interesting.
Right. Like there were just all of these little things that
you wouldn't, if you weren't paying for it, you wouldn't get.
Yeah. So
just the attention to detail.
Tons of attention to detail. And I mean, the food at the end was just great. This was when they had like the traditional Indian wedding, right? And so there was all of this like lamb chops and so I don't know the names of like a lot of these dishes, I guess. I pigged out on the lamb chops actually. It might have been to like the point of rudeness even. I'm unsure because I think there's a difference culturally between like whether it's polite to like finish off everything on your plate or polite to leave everything, because I think in Korea it's actually better to not like finish your food quickly and leave a little bit. And then I don't know what it is on the Indian side. Fortunately, not fortunately, but fortunately, I wasn't eating with Charlie's side of the family,
Okay.
because it was like the brides and the groom's friends that were eating together. So I didn't have to learn an additional custom for the night to embarrass myself with and like mispronounce.
Right.
But, they
You
were
just get
like,
to be the dumb American.
yeah, and they were all obviously banting me for my inability to pronounce their names and stuff, but they were having a lot of fun because they were like, just feeding me foods, and there were like traditional Korean foods too that they had out here. It wasn't like purely Indian stuff. Everything was sort of like a mix of both, right? But there were like predominant themes to every dinner or event or night or something. And so all of this is going on, and they're feeding me like fucking Americans. There's no way an American would eat this, and this is my time to shine, right? Because I fucking love every food. I will eat anything. You can give me the most bizarre like Chinese sea cucumber, and I will devour that shit and be like, wow, that was novel and unique, right? So
That's awesome.
Like, oh my god, like I never thought like a white person would like this, and I'm like, yes, finally I have something to make back my clout for mispronouncing 37 straight times in a row.
Right. 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. No, and they were all like, they were all cool too. Like, that's the other thing. There was none of this like, it wasn't like a weird uppity thing. They were all super personable and like laughing about, like the cultural barriers and in betweens like that. Like they weren't like being malicious or anything like that. And, that was something that like, I had kind of like, worried about, like knowing like, like who her family is and like the level. I was like, like, am I gonna get like manners shamed out of the house here? But no, they were all really cool, and like everyone also is getting hammered because like both of these cultures drink a lot, right? Like Indian culture drinks a lot. Koreans certainly, like Koreans are like juggernaut alcoholics, right? Like they're like it's like rude of me to not be drinking. And it's such like a cultural thing to go drink for drink with everyone. And even if I had been going drink for drink with these like Korean, like women, like these young Korean women, like I would have been getting BTFO'd because of just like, like they were so much better at drinking than me. Like, I have like twice the weight on them. And I would have been totally alcohol mogged by them. And just like embarrassed myself by the speech and like puked and like stumbled off of the stage. Just spilled the spaghetti all over the place.
So you haven't been drinking like through most of this day?
No, I hadn't been drinking basically at all. I've been walking around with like a drink.
Right, like just in your hands for something for your hands to
just
do.
because you have to. But I wasn't really drinking at all. And then we go over and after I give my speech, I see Sprites over hanging out in the food, also not dancing. There's like, like most of the Remy people out on the dance floor, living it up. And I wasn't quite, I didn't have the vibes for it yet. So I go over and talk to Sprite about it. And, we're just chit chatting over there, killing the food off. And at some point I'd consumed such like an overabundance of tiramisu that I was like, I don't know, maybe the vibes changed. The music got different, but I was like, I got to get out there and dance. Sprite, do you want to get out and dance? And he was like, no, I don't think that's a good idea, man. I don't think that's a good idea. And I was like, dude, I think we should go out and dance, dude. And he's like, no. And I'm like, dude, like I can't dance either. Like, I don't know if you're like scared because you're bad. I'm not a good dancer. I'll be there with you. Like we'll fail together, man. Like, eventually I do go out. Sprite decides no, he's not going to. He goes up to the second floor of the building, I think, to escape me and my attempt at peer pressure.
Your influence.
It's like, no, like fuck Lukas, I'm getting away from this. And so I go out, I have fun, and of course this is when all the Korean girls start noticing, like, Lukas, like I thought you were gonna start loosening up when you started drinking, but I'm starting to notice like you're not drinking. that's why your hips can't sway. That's why you're not loosening up, right? You need to start drinking more. And they're all just like, drink, Lucas, drink, like actually do it. And at some point in the night, Charlie's wife realizes also, she's like, Lucas, I've been observing you out of the corner of my eye. And, like it's my job as host of this wedding to see what's going on and know every little detail. And I've noticed that you haven't really been drinking, Lucas. You've been pretending to drink and walking around with, and she pours out like half of my drink, like half of my beer, and she pours like soju into like the other half. It makes like a 50-50 like soju beef mixture. And she's like, Lucas, you need to chug this right now. And I'm like, oh no. And there's like no way out of it, right? Like all of the Korean girls sitting around.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, rude to this person who's hosting you at all.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't really have any major like obligations anymore at this point. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
We're at the fun part of the day.
Yeah. So then we start dancing a little bit more emphatically, one might say. We start killing off the cake. At some point, Charlie and his wife are like, okay, guys, like it looks like all of the responsible adults now are turning down. They're going to bed. They've cut their deals. Like $500 million have been transacted, and it's time for us to go to the bars, right?
Nice.
So then we all pile into the Ubers and stuff, and we start going down to the bars, and it winds up just being like, it was just an all around great experience having everyone. It was like a big celebration. All of this was like a consistent celebration, not just of like Charlie's wedding, but like of like basically everything that like all of us have done.
Remilia as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you had told me that like, okay, in 2 years, you're going to be in Korea at this massive, like fucking, like overblown wedding with not overblown. It was the perfect amount of blown. I'm not disparaging the wedding. I'm saying it was like a big fucking in the sense
decadent.
Like it wasn't big in the sense of this is big because of its proximity to like a bizarre internet phenomenon. It was like, oh, by like traditional standards, this is like a big wedding, right? Like the
right. Anyone would recognize that.
Yeah. Like the traditional aspects alone are not something that really like, come out at like normie weddings and stuff. You have like the beginning ceremony, the Korean ceremony where like there's something, I guess, where like Charlie carries his wife around, like he walked around the whole venue like a few times with his wife on his back as a, I guess he's supposed to do that to prove that he can like carry her around the full extent of like the size that their house is going to be one day or something.
Oh, that's sweet.
It was this funny thing, right? Because you see Charlie like smiling, grinning, going around, carrying his wife around like this. And I guess he'd like, I think he'd been like a little bit nervous about this too, right? So he'd started like a little bit of a workout plan to make sure, because he wanted to do the full flex of like,
taking his pine pollen.
Right. Doing multiple laps around with her to prove that he can like, like he'll have the castle one day with her, right? Like I'm not just going to walk around like 5,000 square feet with her. Like I'm walking around like fucking like 80 square miles with her.
That's so
on my
sweet.
back. Yeah. So as the night goes on and all of the serious responsibilities go away, Charlie, he starts getting a little bit mischievous with things, right? And he starts coming up with me these totally nonsensical tasks that he hands off to me with like as much importance as like make sure that like my aunt doesn't die or something, right?
Tasks like what?
So he comes up and he has me hold out my hand and he's like, I need you to take custody of this for the night, and you absolutely can't lose it. And I assume he's going to give me like the wedding rim or something, right? And he clasps his hands around mine, and he leaves something there, and it feels about the size of a wedding ring. And then he makes eye contact with me, like unbroken, for like 30 seconds. He's just staring at me, like totally deadpan serious. And then he like releases his hands, and it's like a fucking button. like it's like a button off of like a piece of like Indian formal wear. And I look down at it and I understand at this point. I'm like, 99.9% chance he's fucking with me. 0.01% chance this is some heirloom family garment, and if I lose this button, I'm dooming my bloodline to like eternal poverty, right? So I'm like, like I have to fucking guard this button, right? Like,
did you do it? Did you successfully?
I successfully guarded the button and returned it to its rightful owner the next day, right? I still don't know like how important that was. I assume it was like, you know, it's so clearly like Charlie fucking with me, but like in that moment of like overblown Lukas neuroticism,
right.
It so clearly could have been real and true and stuff. But anyway, we all get out and we're all like at the bars and stuff. And this is when Charlie's wife takes over, right? She's just hostessing everything. She's buying all of this stuff, like all these foods, like basically just buying everything on every menu. Because I guess in Korea, like a quirk is that the alcohol is basically not marked up. And so the way that bars make money is off of the food. So if you don't like order food, it's like you're like an asshole, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's going around, she's ordering like food for everyone, not just like us. She's getting it for like other members of the bar who are just there, like, you know, like without any sort of association to us. And they're all kind of getting included in the festivities because we're all just having like an awesome time. Like it's this big thing. We're like, oh, like it's a wedding. And everyone's like, oh, that's awesome. And so we're going around, we're taking pictures of everything. You know, Jimbo and Q, I think there's like a funny picture of them, like, you know, the what was that? The Dalmatian. It was not the Dalmatians. The Lady and the Tramp thing where they like suck on the spaghetti from like
spaghetti,
yeah, from like a different side. There's like one of them with like either side of like a noodle in their mouth. Like it looks like they're approaching, like kissing each other. Like,
oh, cute.
Yeah, just like all of this, just like bizarre, happy, like fun hangout stuff. Everyone's just having a really good time. And everyone else is getting sucked in, like all of the non-Remilia, like wedding attendees, like, you know, like the fucking bar owners are getting pulled into the energy of it all. We're taking pictures with them. They're wanting to like pull this out and like post about it on social media. They're asking like, wait, well, what did you say? What is it called? Like Remy, we're like explaining the whole thing to these guys. And as things go on gradually throughout the night, like there's a few funny things that keep happening. One is like there's this point where Jimbo took these two like beer mugs and he's like, guys, look, and he just like cheerses himself, but he's too hammered. And his cheersing strength, he explodes both mugs. Like, and he has two full mugs of beer, and he just explodes it and spills it all over everyone.
It's like out of a movie.
Yeah, I know. And he's like, "Oh my god, guys, I'm so sorry. I had no idea they were going to break." Fine, it gets cleaned up and stuff. It's not like the end of the world, I think. And then there's this pervasive trend, right, of all of the Korean girls trying to get us to do these drinking games. And they're explaining the fucking rules. And these drinking games are like, it's like 8th dimensional underwater backgammon, right? Like, it's
like we're not playing Pong here.
No, like we are not in fucking like Wisconsin anymore, man. This is some really, and like I think that I might be coping here. I'm definitely coping here, but they had an advantage, right? Because they've been doing this since they were like 7 years old. And they've been memorizing all these rules, right? So we try and do these, and they explain these rules to us, and we're already like fairly drunk, but like we just fucking fumble, man. Like we fumble like you would not believe. Okay, we we get like 2 steps into it, and they're just like, Korean 9-year-olds can do this. How are you fucking up with this? And like we truly have no excuse. There was no. And we had to just go back to like really basic shit, right? Like can you count to 10? And if you say the number at the same time as someone else, you have to drink.
Right,
and if you say the wrong number, you have to, like, we had to go
a very basic drinking game.
Right, like the most simple brainlet drinking games. All of the Korean girls are rolling their eyes at us like, wow, they can't hang. And it was true. It was true. We truly could not hang. I was trying, like, I wasn't even like fucking up as like a humorous comedic bit. I was afraid to even participate because I knew that I was going to fuck up and I didn't want to, right? Like people, like my last big interaction with all of these guys was at Charlie's wedding, where I went and had a really good time with everyone. We were all friends. I talked. There wasn't like I didn't. People have been asking me a lot throughout this, like, oh, Lukas, like, how did nobody notice that there was, and it's like, I don't know. Like, I didn't notice. Like,
Right,
I was like,
right.
fuck, like we're all like best friends hanging out in like Korea, Japan, like all of this wacky, like international shit.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't getting like any sense of like bad vibes or anything, but there's stuff like in the suit that's like naming stuff that was going on like during RemCon
Yeah,
Tokyo
it
and stuff. So, like,
mentioned TokyoCon.
basically this was happening at like his wedding, right? Like this was a known thing that was going on at Charlie's wedding. It was
Mm-hmm.
known that, oh, we're trying to put a backdoor into the Bogler thing. And like, I don't know who all did this. I know that CCC had to know because he was doing it, right?
Right.
I don't know if he was like even telling the other parties about it. I would bet my fucking right arm that Jimbo had no idea. Like, I would bet so much fucking money that Jimbo definitely had no idea. And so all of this stuff coming out and realizing that this was all going on during this period when like I was like, oh wow, like this is so awesome and magical and fun, and we're all just like hanging out, and it's so great that like Charlie opened his heart to us and trusted us and let us come to this wedding that's so beautiful. And then like people invited to the wedding fucking rug him and try to take control of his company.
Like,
Doesn't it hit weird when you frame it that way?
yes. Yes, it does. Gosh, I'm sorry, Lucas. I'm just so like, I'm. This is just so much,
Yeah, it's like a bizarre shock, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and I've been processing it at different points the past few days, and I don't know, it hits. It hits.
But like that's basically like my story of like the Charlie's wedding, right? Is we all hung out, we had a really good time. It is just a shame that like the addition of money makes things get very weird, I guess.
Yes. But the thing is like the money is helpful too. I mean, in allowing us to work on projects that we don't make money from, like the magazine that I'm working on, the for Remilia. Me and a few other people are working on this magazine to be produced called Remilia Quarterly, and it's not something to bring in money. It won't bring in money. Like, if I'm being completely clear, that's like
Never say
never
that, by the
been.
way. Never say there's always a way to make money, but
Okay, yeah.
it's been under development for quite some time now, and this is not something that like this is a passion project of Charlie's, and like the reason that
Yes.
Charlie's trying to like make money through like other ventures is basically so that he can platform his passion projects. Like,
Yeah,
that's
so
been the
that we
goal
can
of
do
this all along.
these fun things where we don't have to worry about how much money, like just a little like inside part of this is like I've been contacting printing companies, and we've like been figuring out what weight of paper we can use, and like high gloss, and like making all these choices that
If you were just some random startup journo, like you're going to be picking like, what is it? Like fucking like 40 weight paper for everything.
Yeah, just low quality. And because we have the money to do so, we're able to like produce high quality products and make things that actually look good. And that's like just such a relief.
Did you like my familiarity with the paperweight grading scale there?
Paperweight. Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, it basically functions as like, if you were to take like 10,000 pieces of paper, how many pounds would it weigh? And then like obviously as the weight goes up, the thickness of the paper goes up, because that's how because if all of the papers have the same dimensions, like they're all A2 paper, the only way to increase their weight is going thicker, right?
Yes. Yeah. And you always there's different paperweights for different like parts of a book or a magazine. Like for the cover, we're gonna go for something like maybe like 110 pounds or so, and for the actual text inside maybe like an 80-pound, but like but we're
Double my
able to
poverty
do.
estimates. That's pretty good.
Yeah, 40 pounds is pretty light. But we're able to make these choices because of the money that we have to do it.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see where all of this stuff goes, right? Because this is something that Charlie's like talked about ever since I've known him, was like the desire basically to platform net art critics that don't really, like they don't have any sort of like outlet or reach or anything like that currently.
Right.
And like a lot of them just don't even exist.
There's not a good, oh, I don't want to disparage like any other publication, right? But there's not a lot of net art criticism that's being written that's understandable and fun to read. And I really hope that with this project that we're able to bring that to the world, and also just to document what's been going on.
Right.
Like,
And that's the big thing, because, like art that isn't criticized or documented just kind of is gone, especially net art. Like everyone thinks like, oh, the internet is forever. And like it is in a sense, but like, if you were to go back and look at my posting history across like a variety of mediums, like most of it is just gone, right?
well, that's another thing, is that there's so much to filter through, right? Like there's such an oversaturation of posts and of everything that's being written online that there's no possible way for you to find everything that's good. So being able to like curate it and put it into a quarterly and get that produced for people is so cool, I think.
Are you going to do any sort of like tabloidy stuff? Are you going to be documenting trolling exploits?
Yeah. Well, the like mission statement of the Remilia Quarterly that we've talked about for as long as we've been in development is that we're printing the internet, and that's part of it. We're not just taking these like long essays about what people think about different pieces of art online. Like it's not going to be just like that. It's also just random things that people want to read about, and yeah, like the different like Twitter trolling psyops that exist, like all of this history of Twitter is hilarious. You can have fun online. Like that's been what we've been doing forever, and to see like it just be fun for the moment and then disappear and never talked about again is kind of a shame, because like there's so many things like that, like how Grimes keeps accidentally stumbling upon our community,
right? Yeah, and being like, oh my god, like this is fucking Milady too, god damn it.
Yeah, you take off the Scooby-Doo mask and it's Milady behind it.
The endless march of Milady, right? It's it has so many skins at this point now too that just use it as a vehicle to Trojan horse its way into Grimes's life.
Right. Exactly. And so, and like, what a shame if nobody ever got to relive that again. So,
yeah.
And it's not just like the things that are happening in our community, like we want to give a platform to like pretty much anything. Like I wanted to say too, we're going to be opening for submissions for the quarterly, right? So it's not just, that we're like hiring like random people to write an article about how much they love this random art project or anything. Like this is like open for the public. We're trying to give the community an ability to be published. And so there's going to be two different parts to the submission process. One of them is going to be what we've been referring to as the PO box of the internet. And these are just like free form submissions where you can send anything that you want to us, like send us your meme folder, or like write down like what you've done all day and who you've talked to, and like send a log of
And
that.
Milk is going to be personally reviewing all of these submissions.
Yes, yeah. So anything that you send, I'm gonna be pushing through and looking at it. So keep that in mind and be nice to me.
Oh God. You're going to receive 600 terabytes of dick pics. Milk, we've completely fucking ruined your life.
Don't do that. But I'm gonna be looking through all this stuff, and
it's like dick pics in a sense are like net art, right? They're one of the original forms of
like don't encourage any of this.
I'm sorry, like I know I'm ruining your life by saying this and giving everyone
do not give anybody ideas. But we actually on the website, when we open submissions, you'll be able to see it. We have like a long list of different ideas that you can take from for these short form submissions, and I can read some of them right now actually. Yeah, one of them is log your daily internet usage, each site you visit, each conversation you have, each user you interact with, submit the log. Paint us an image of the Garden of Eden and then submit it. Like, just anything. Like, you remember like when jade posting was super popular and people were just going off.
Like, jade posting was like right when I got added to the Remi chat, right?
Okay, yeah. I mean, this was like pre Remilia as a concept.
Yeah.
But like things like that, like deserve to be published, I think, and deserve to be seen and put into an official form.
I'm going to be totally honest with you. To this day, like I now understand 99% of like Remilia's past actions, like the Maya history, like all of this other stuff. I still to this day don't get jade posting. Like I don't like, get it. Like I could look at it and I could consume 1 million jade posts. I will never be able to emit my own jade post. I can't do it. There's something about the writer's voice that is just like completely foreign to me.
Well, if you know, you know.
And I don't know, and it's over.
But I mean, there's opportunity for everyone here to submit something and have the possibility of it being put in this forever form, printed out for anyone who wants to see it. But other than that, we're also going to have a long form submission box where you can write a proposal for an article that's being written in the magazine, and they're going to be compensated for it too. The opportunity here is that you can work with our editing team and
become a published Remilia author.
Yeah, and become a published and paid author, put into physical writing. So,
and then you'll be more on Remilia payroll than I am.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I really am looking forward to that part for sure. Less so the random. I mean, still excited about like all of the pictures and everything. But I'm really excited.
You were gonna get DDoSed with some meme folders, man.
That's okay. It's all for the art. Like, you know, if I have
you're gonna be repeating that to yourself as a mantra as you spend like 10 hours a day sifting through Pepe folders. You're gonna be like, oh, it's
right,
for the art. It's for the art.
Yeah, right. My ThinkPad gets bricked, and I'm just. And like, well,
it should also be noted that like while Milk is like going to be the only one reviewing the submissions, like she's not the only one on quarterly duty, right?
Oh no, and I'm not the only one that's going to be reading the submissions, but
Everyone keep that in mind, right? When you send the dick pics, it's not guaranteed to go to a woman who has very little ability to assess its quality, right? Like it could go to a guy and he could ruthlessly destroy you, right?
Please don't send dick pics, please. I don't need that stress in my life. Thank you. Anyway, I'm really excited about both forms of these submissions, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what people are able to create with it and to get it published. Like,
Confusing to me.
Right, but this is all to say that like there is so much more to Remilia than the NFTs